Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, live on WBON TV Channel 9 and on radio at V99.3, Sports Radio 103.5 and Y92.5. Support your favorite local teams and enjoy the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. Also brought to you by Bishop Small Engine Repair, the law offices of Patrick O'Neill, Nuevo Vallarta, and Aero Auto Glass. Now let's go live to your host, Michael Watkins and Samantha Burford.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome into the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. Samantha Burford, Michael Watkins. It's kind of, I feel like we've been MIA for a while. We haven't been here.
It does kind of feel that way because we've been doing it at the office.
Yeah, well, and we've also been trying to get some of these games in, and it seems like every time we've got one scheduled, it gets canceled. We've had 5 straight games that we have planned to go do on WBON be canceled. We've had we started with the Blake Crow night with Estill County and Madison Central baseball. Last week we had 2 games canceled. We were supposed to not have a show tonight, and we were going to do the Madison Central softball game versus Montgomery County. That got canceled. So we just keep kind of roller coaster ride of trying to find some games. Folks, we will try to get them if they play them. And here's the thing, too. You know, Central baseball, they played a lot of road games in the early going. Now, a lot of their games have been canceled here down the stretch. We've yet to have a softball game on because of all these cancellations. So we're trying to get to them. There's a couple on the schedule right now, barring any rain not coming, which a little 2 days ago, it was going to rain every day but Tuesday. We literally just looked before we came on the air. We've got a little bit of a break in the rain now, so hopefully it stays that way.
It kind of feels like winter.
It does.
So they're going to need their long johns.
Yeah, when I went outside this morning to take the kids to school, oh, man, it
was chilly.
Jackets on.
I have my jacket with me right now and a winter sweater.
Yeah, and and I think it's supposed to be in the 70s tomorrow, which is that's the perfect weather. Sunshine, 70-degree weather, but it's just hard
still going to
for
be wet.
Spring sports right now. Yeah, especially some of the fields like, you know, I'm helping coach an MCYFL team, Madison County Youth Football League team. We had 2 games canceled last week. Supposed to have practice tomorrow, so we're hoping the field at least dries up some over the next 24 hours so we can be out there practicing.
Because it is a little more dangerous when it's slippery and they're running, trying to catch balls. You don't want anybody to get hurt.
As a parent, you understand your kids are going to get their clothes dirty, but you don't want them just diving in mud or whatever the case might be.
And I think the boys would like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, as a parent now that does laundry, I'm like, yeah, don't do that. Get out of the ground. Like, I constantly catch myself saying words like that.
Like the slide.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the grass.
Well, we talked about baseball and softball on all the cancellations. So let's kind of take a second to, look at how good some of our teams are doing because we've got some really good baseball and softball teams.
Madison Central softball is doing
and that's what I was going to start with because they have kind of surprised some people. I talked to Coach Hall a few weeks ago and he was like, we came into the season, we were very young, kind of an unknown as to how good we're going to be. And right now, they sit atop the 11th region in the RPI standings. They're 15-3 overall. They've had some really successful games within the 11th region as well, playing some good softball. Now, they've kind of been able to stay away from some of the other top-tier teams. Not that they're shying away from them, but the weather has prevented them from playing the likes of Scott County and some of these other top-tier 11th region teams. But they're playing some good softball right now, and Coach Hall, I think it is very impressive what he has done with this program, especially the team this year, considering how young they are.
Well, and I was looking at the schedule today, and they've got a humdinger coming up with Assumption.
Oh, that's
what is that? Saturday, May 10th.
So they're playing I think 2 games up there, like Assumption Triangle or something like that. Yeah.
And Assumption, they're known for all their athletic sports.
Having good athletes.
They're 22-5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a game.
And to me, that's interesting when you look at they've played 27 games. Central's played 18, but the weather up north
maybe a little different in Louisville.
Exactly than what we're seeing here. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But, the Madison Central softball team, when you look at their team, and I was talking to that sophomore class is absolutely loaded. They've got some good young pitchers. Peyton Gilboa is really the only experienced player that they brought back this year. And they were even worried about having her on the season because she got hurt in the offseason, but she's been back. She's played very well. But this team is kind of, I think, catching some people off guard because they lost so much last year. You look at Cassidy Hack, who is playing at Lincoln Memorial. There's a couple of players actually playing with her at Lincoln Memorial that played softball at Central. But this team, They're playing really good softball right now. Just got to keep this train rolling. Madison Southern, they're a few spots back in the RPI. I think they're 13-8 overall. I think
13-8.
That's their record.
I wrote it down today. And they have 8 more games left of the regular season.
And that's if they get them all in.
If they
yeah. But they're playing some good softball right now. And then when they played Central, a few weeks ago, that game was a lot of fun. Came down to the stretch, and just a very tight-knit softball game that Central obviously pulled away and won.
They've got Tate's Creek coming up, a regional rival. So they're like 8-12, something like that.
And
so
I think they play on Wednesday versus –
I don't have the schedule memorized.
Yeah, the Central softball plays Harrison County next. I think it's Franklin County, actually, that Southern plays on Wednesday. So we're not going to say we're going to do it. I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But that's a game that we're looking at doing should they play on Wednesday night.
We just looked. It's showing rain on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's showing rain every day. That, the rain is – we can't
They may not get another game in.
Mother Nature is very unpredictable, especially here in Kentucky. I mean, it's looked like it's going to rain all day today, and it hasn't. I
kind of missed it.
Yeah, well, but it hasn't been like a downpour that they were predicting that we were going to have. I actually looked at the weather earlier, and according to the weather map, it was raining in Richmond, but it wasn't raining where I was at. It's like the little like dot on your map that shows that it was literally raining where the dot was at that I was standing.
In North Richmond,
I guess.
South Richmond.
Yeah. Have you ever drove through a storm and you can see where the rain is starting, but you're not in it yet?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
You see it. You can see the lines in front of you, and you're like, "Oh, here it comes."
Here we go. Just drive right through it.
Well, you get on the interstate sometimes, and people pull over because it's raining so hard.
It was doing that one day last week. It was raining so hard that I had to pull off the side of the road. It was around. I think it might have been Wednesday. It was raining so hard I had to pull off.
It could have been any day.
That's true.
Because I feel like that's all it's done. Kind of feel like we're in Seattle.
Yeah, it's what we're kind of the weather we're getting right now.
Gray, cloud covered, no sunshine.
Well, we talked about softball.
Yes.
Let's look at baseball real quick. Madison Central's baseball team, they're playing some good baseball right now. They're kind of in the top tier, top echelon of the baseball. And the 11th region baseball teams are so good, and it's been that way for a long time. Softball, you'll usually have 2 or 3 top-tier teams, whereas baseball, every team, and I talked to Coach McNew from Southern about this last week, every team has one player that they can throw at you, one really good pitcher. Some teams might have a good backup or a good number 2. This year, there's a lot of really talented pitchers out there. Now, the bats aren't as good as they had been in the past, top to bottom, but there's some good lineups out there, too. Central playing some good softball. Coach Roof, obviously a legendary coach with what he's done with that program.
With baseball,
but Coach McNew's been around for a while, too. He's a good coach. And that Southern Central game, we know that very first game of the year, it was an extra innings. It was a long night to start the season. And Coach McNew said last week that gave his team confidence that they can pretty much hang with anybody in the state when you hang with Madison Central like that.
Yeah, that first game of the season.
Yeah.
That is a fun way to start out the season, It's exciting.
Well,
rivalry right out of the get-go.
Exactly. And, some coaches might want to kind of, dip their toes in the water. Central Southern, they dive right in. Let's start things off with an intense rivalry game to get the season started. And, when talking to him last week, he said it was a postseason-like atmosphere in game number 1, and that's kind of sets the tone for your season as you go forward.
Right, and then switching gears to Madison Central, they were supposed to play GRC today. They're known for their baseball.
Yep.
And then next week, Trinity.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Central, really no matter what the sport is that they have consistently done, is they're always load the schedule. Because that's how you get better. And
Trinity is 21-3.
Yeah, that's a pretty good record. That's pretty good. And probably 1 or 2 of those is out-of-state losses, too. I mean, you look at their record. So, but Central baseball, they're up there right now. They're playing some good baseball. Southern's playing good. And really, it'll come down to the matchups. That'll be very important. We'll look at that, who draws who in the postseason. And then when you go into the region, if you can kind of get one of the, a struggling team from another district, you have a chance to maybe rest your ace, your number 1 starter. That kind of sets you up for a potential postseason run.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
That's the dream.
I mean, you don't really want it to be canceled or rained out, but that's the way to do it. Give your best pitcher some rest so that they're not, because you want to manipulate how you're going to which game you're going to put them in, I should say.
Well, and you talked about the records and everything. You know, we are literally 2 weeks away from what would be the start of the district tournament.
Right.
And again, I'm not sure.
Which is what, the weekend of Memorial?
No, that would be the first round of regions would be the weekend of Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, that week.
So normally what they try to do is do the first or second round on Memorial Day. Get all those games in because it's Memorial Day. People want to be outside doing their own thing, so you can kind of celebrate accordingly. And if you're celebrating at the baseball field, it's a pretty good way to celebrate Memorial Day. What's more American than summertime and baseball? You know, that's
hot dogs,
America's
pie.
pastime. But we're right here. We're 3 weeks away from regions. We're 2 weeks away from districts. Postseason spring sports is right around the corner, and it is a great time to kind of get behind some of your favorite teams in Madison County because we're coming down the stretch. Model softball's had a pretty good season thus far. They're playing well, and we're seeing some of these really good athletes.
They're 10-4.
Yeah, 10, that's a good record, 10-4.
Yes.
I mean, and Berea, they've had kind of an up and down season. They're 8-11 right now on the softball side. All four of our softball teams have talented players.
Yes.
It's again all about the draw. How will that end up? And we'll see those matchups here in just a couple of weeks. A lot to get to tonight on the sports show. One of our favorite guests that we continually have on, Walt Wells, the EKU football coach, will join us here in about 20 minutes or so to talk about spring football, a very successful spring season. And, you know, one thing we talked to him about a few weeks ago when we had him on was, you know, new faces. Who are fans going to be excited about? And the quarterback situation is always up in the air as well.
It's so similar to last year.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to be guessing up until the last minute.
And I think Coach is okay with that because that's something that you can figure out, especially when you've got multiple guys that can play the position.
Right.
You don't want to or push the button too early. You want to give everybody a chance to kind of go through spring practice,
what is
see
it,
how
the
they play
athletic
there.
Conference? So
the UAC,
yeah. So you don't really want to put all your cookies out there for everyone to nibble at.
And that's why
this is what we're going to go for.
That's why he said in the spring game, you know, they didn't want to show a whole lot because Louisville or Marshall could have a scout there scouting their spring game. And that's what
so you wonder,
coaches
do they all do that?
Yeah.
I mean, does EKU send somebody to watch Louisville already since that's the August 30th first
but that's why a lot of programs have gone away from an actual spring game because they don't want to show anything. They want to keep everything because with technology nowadays,
practice?
I mean, it's
closed spring
I think
games,
closed enough.
Practice.
Because the spring game for Eastern was open, but it was more of a glorified practice. That's essentially what it was. Because you don't want to show anything just in case Louisville or Marshall was there, and you don't want to show off your quarterback either. Because if you've got an ace, up your sleeve, that could potentially be what this quarterback is.
So maybe
for
you play
EKU.
the one that you're not gonna use. I don't know.
That would be a lot of trickery if you do that. You're
maybe
really
you
trying
just play
to.
them both.
Yeah. Well, we are going to have Coach Wells on in about 15 minutes
We'll
or so.
find out.
And when we come back, we'll talk about some of the new faces on the EKU men's and women's basketball team. A lot of movement in college sports nowadays with the transfer portal and the NIL and how much money are you making. EKU and Coach A.W. Hamilton's been very busy in the portal. We'll look at some of those new faces for him and for Coach Greg Todd when we come back on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Are you looking for a brand new SUV that won't break the bank? Look no farther than Jack Burford Chevrolet, home of the newly redesigned 2024 Trax. Bigger, bolder, more refined, and starting under $25,000, the new Chevy Trax is really upped its game. Come see us at Jack Burford Chevrolet in Richmond or check us out at jackburford.com to see everything this new Trax has to offer.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Co-Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now Steel in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills. When you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
At WBON TV 9, you can count on our weather team to keep you up to date with all the latest developments, watches, and warnings.
We're here for you night and day, 24/7, no matter what the weather brings.
WBON TV 9 and our media partner 100.7 The Coyote are dedicated to you. That's why we say when the weather turns extraordinary, so does our coverage.
Get your forecast each weekday during the Live at 5 newscast on WBON TV 9, where every local story starts here.
Back here on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show, kind of upset with you, Samantha. You were showing off your dance moves right before we came on the air earlier, and you've yet to show them on the air.
Our guest isn't here yet, so I can dance in the commercial
Okay,
break.
well, just talk to Coach Wells. He said he is on his way. He's leaving the restaurant. They had a recruiting visit in, and he's leaving the restaurant heading our way. So
that makes you feel important, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Tell your recruit, I got to go
be on the TV. Be on TV with us. Well, we talked about some of the new faces that are coming up.
I don't think Coach Wells is worried about that.
No, he's not worried about putting his makeup on and looking good for camera. He's worried about winning some football games. Yeah, what
you are?
Well, my makeup is always on point, and the hair. I'm having a good hair day today. You think so?
We can see ourselves right here in our little computers. So.
Yeah, it's like a mirror. But I can't. But I got to look at the camera to look at it's interesting.
Yeah,
but
it's delayed.
It is delayed. So
a little weird.
But the EKU women's basketball
team.
Turn
around a little more.
Copeland, she good? No, we're good. We're having fun. We're having fun today.
Now I'm more towards the camera. I was angled more towards you.
But yeah, and you know what? You could have put deodorant on today. That would have been nice.
Well,
before we get into this stuff, we were talking about how long we've been doing the show together.
Yeah, true. We were trying.
We know since 2017, but probably back to this could be like year 10 for the sports show.
I have put up with you for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you lasted. Well, we won't get into all that, but let's talk about some EKU women's and men's basketball.
No, wait, hold on. Think about how much it's changed. In 10 years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technology.
I was getting ready to say our equipment. We used to have one camera.
Yeah.
We used to have a little camera.
We used to have a webcam. That's how we did it. Was a webcam, and we were strictly doing.
We didn't have headphones.
We had to hold the mics.
Hold the mic.
We did it in the studio for a while. You know that was when.
All you want to talk about was NBA.
That was my area of expertise, or at least I felt like it was back in the day. Yeah.
And I was like, Michael, no one wants to talk about NBA until we get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but now.
That's where they're at now, yeah. Boston's trying to win us one. And
you
listen,
are just,
remember I used
to
to wear my Patriot sports coat?
Fanatic in sports.
Remember I had my Patriot sport coat? I actually found it the other. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It probably doesn't fit as good as it did 10 years ago.
Well, your quarterback's gone.
That's true.
And then you didn't switch to Tampa, so you really stayed with your Boston.
Yeah, I'm very loyal. I'm very loyal to my teams.
But there's no reason why Boston.
There is.
You're
there
not
is.
from there.
We've totally jumped course, but there is a reason why. So when I was growing up, the teams that I played like Pee Wee leagues for, I played for the Celtics and I played for the Red Sox.
Okay.
And then around that same time is when New England kind of, the football team kind of became good. That's when they won their first Super Bowl. It was like the 01 year. So all that kind of all happened at the same time. And I'm playing for the Red Sox, playing for the Celtics, rooting for New England. Hey, those are all Boston teams. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it happened.
Do you ever go to Reds? Do you go to Bengals?
I have gone. I've never been to an NFL game. Never.
Oh.
Yeah. You should buy me some tickets.
Why don't we give tickets away here? That's what
we got
to
get some before we can give them away. And if I'm buying them, I'm going to the game.
Okay, don't we give away Reds tickets?
We do have Reds tickets to give away. Yeah, we'll have some
nice
of those later on in the
segue.
summer, so that'll be fun. We can give some of those away.
That would be fun. We could all go. The 4 of us could go.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. We'll let John.
You drive.
I can drive. We'll drive the. We'll take John. Let's drive the Corvette. Can't really
Only
fit
2
4 people
can
in the
fit in
Corvette.
there. But this big truck, y'all can't see
that
it. But
is.
that Colorado.
Yeah, we can pull it up on the other camera.
I just got in it a minute ago.
If a couple can show off the Avalanche. Or the
No,
Colorado.
It's a Colorado.
Yeah, that thing is a machine.
Oh, he's going to come move the camera. Listen,
that thing
I got
is
up in it
We're
a
making
minute
Copeland
ago.
work tonight.
I know. How cool would that be pulling in the grocery store?
In the grocery store?
I mean, yeah, just pulling in that parking lot. Like, you're going to take whatever parking spot you want.
What is that, 5 seats? Like 2 in the front and 3 in the back?
Yes,
yes. And that is a monster. What's the ZR2?
Look at the Chevy bow tie in the front. Like, I stuck my hand
empty,
through
right?
it
Yeah, it's like
ago.
a hole.
Stuck my hand through it.
Yeah, look at that thing right there on your screen, folks. That is a beautiful truck. Colorado
you definitely got to
here.
step up into it because I'm 5. Well, I've always said I'm 5'4", but I got measured the other day and they said I was 5'5". I was like, okay,
Are you
growing.
growing? Are you growing up?
I'm growing.
You know what?
I'll take it.
I've had the Tahoe for a while. It's about time to trade in for another vehicle.
Okay, off topic again, but you had your like suitcase holder thing in the back of your Tahoe. What was that?
It's equipment.
Thing?
It's equipment.
For work?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually the Comrex that we used to use to do the show on back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now it's gone. You don't have it on the back. I've been meaning to ask you that.
that thing in the back. So I had to move out of the house I was renting.
Okay.
That's why I had it back there, just for moving stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
for moving.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about there's a suitcase in my back seat right now with equipment in it.
I meant the metal thing that you have in the on the back
for
of
like
your
a storage compartment or whatever,
Okay,
a luggage rack
Okay.
type thing. Yeah.
Okay. I thought,
it's off there
wow,
now.
you're carrying our equipment around. Are we
I
done
would not put it. I
rain?
would not put our expensive TV equipment on the back of the car.
Outside the
Yeah,
back of the
especially with the
car.
way I drive. You don't want you
flopping out
flopping
at the
on buses
stoplight.
or bumps and
Okay,
stuff.
Okay. All
Let's get
right.
back on track. Let's get
Okay,
back on
sorry,
track.
sorry.
So
we went sideways.
EKU women's basketball team, they have signed former Kentucky and Indiana All-Star participant Jasmine Jordan to their roster for next year. She is the second signee out of the transfer portal for Coach Greg Todd. 6'2" guard, averaged 18.2 points and 14 rebounds at guard. She's a post player.
That's incredible.
14 rebounds last season with the University of Rio Grande. She was named the River States Conference Newcomer of the Year and the first team All-RSC in February, and a really good player last year. And she comes along with another important player for Coach Greg Todd out of the portal. I'm going to try to get this name right. Ndid Iamaka Ndukwe. Who transfers in. She's coming out of the portal and joining the Colonels. 5'10" guard, was named the Division II Conference Commissioners Association All-Region second team, All-Peach Belt last year with Georgia Southwestern, and another scorer coming out of the portal for Coach Greg Todd, who lost a lot with his graduating class last season.
Do we know how many seniors he's losing?
There's like 5 or 6 that were graduating. A very big class with, Alice Recanati, you had Costner, you had McGinnis, Taylor.
We love watching those.
Yes, and they were really good.
Play together.
It's so hard to compete in the A-Sun when you've got Florida Gulf Coast, who's so good every single year.
Men's and women's.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they got a couple of really good players out of the portal there. Coach Todd obviously not done, but he's done a good job the last few years of building this program up.
And everything is so new to me and to everyone about this portal. Like, I'm not really sure when the transfer dates are all.
That's the thing that
closes.
we don't know, because I know the portal, just as far as the date to enter the portal is gone.
Right.
But there are still players in the portal that are coming out. I think it was just yesterday, Travis Perry from Kentucky announced he was going to commit to Ole Miss. Of course, they were after him back when he was a high school player as well. But that's kind of a tough.
Why?
Well, I understand.
Why Ole Miss?
Yeah, well, we wanted him to go to Eastern. Can you imagine a backcourt of Travis Perry, Tyler Turner Butchery, and Jackson Holt? The shooting on that team would just be incredible. They'd have to put a new net up at Baptist Health Arena every single game.
And if Kimball could come back.
Yeah, well, I think that ship has sailed. But having
I'm still crossing my
another
fingers.
Kentucky player in the fold.
I loved watching him.
Yeah, I know Meyer Wall did commit to, I think it was Bradley's where he went to. Kimball is still in the portal, so he has yet to decide where he is going. I've been checking Twitter every day trying to find out.
Yeah, and I would like to find out how many put themselves out there and put themselves in the portal.
And come back to their team.
Come back.
Well,
it's
and here's
a
the
small
thing, too.
number, I'm sure.
But
what happens if you don't get picked up by anybody?
Well, and you got to feel bad for the high school kids, too, because a lot of times nowadays, if you are maybe a 3 or 4-star recruit, you're not getting pushed as hard because all these coaches now, and you've seen it.
Transfer portal.
You saw what Florida did with the portal.
Sophomores.
You want these upperclassmen that have already been through NCAA tournament runs with their other teams.
Right. More experience.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It's just it kind of sucks for high school players nowadays, so they don't get as much.
But the training is still there. You still have to teach them your system, no matter whether they're a transfer or a freshman.
Well, and I think that's why it's important to build a roster top to bottom, because if you can get some of those guys, to stick around for a couple of years, they can learn from those experienced players and then eventually get their turn out there on the court.
Right,
but you talked about the guy. There are 3 names so far that we know of that are coming in for Eastern Kentucky on the men's side.
And I've always been a point guard. That's who I love.
Yeah.
I'm a point guard fan. So MJ Williams, he's 5'10". He was a finalist for the North Carolina Mr. Basketball.
Yep.
And
That's a high school player coming in.
Yeah, so he was ranked 3rd in the state as a point guard.
Yeah,
so
and
impressive.
They
need it.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I really like his name because, to me, he's from North Carolina, so I'm assuming it's Michael. It's kind of a different way.
You think he's going to be like a Michael Jordan?
No, I'm not saying he'll be as good as Michael Jordan. I'm saying the name is named after Michael Jordan, but they did it in a different way.
And MJ.
MJ Williams instead of Michael Jordan Williams or whatever the case might be.
But yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so
I see where you went.
But you've also got another guard in that Juan Cranford Jr.
Yeah, 6'3", 205-pound guard from Dayton, Ohio. Coach AW said he's efficient. He can make shots from anywhere on the floor, and he averaged last year 10.2 points. That's why I wrote that down, because shooting. That's what they need.
And you look at what they lost last year. We know about Kimball in the portal, Meyer Wall in the portal. Of course, you lose Tay Blanton, who was so good for so long. And this next name, that's the one that I am most excited about because the picture of Jalen Cooper on EKUSports.com, he looks like a dang linebacker out there in the basketball jersey. 6'6", defensive presence, a really good athlete. I would expect a lot of dunks from Jalen Cooper, a 6'6" wing for AW Hamilton this year.
He's Defensive Player of the Year in 2023 in the Sunshine State Conference. He has length, athleticism, and very competitive. Coach AW said.
And that's going to be important this year when you look at what they lost, replacing a lot of high-powered offensive weapons and some defensive guys as well. Bringing in some of these names, and they're not done. Coach AW is not done, so we'll see what else they bring in.
I hope we get to meet them. Like we get to meet the football players. Yeah. We don't always get to meet the basketball players, but it is fun to kind of get to know them. It puts, we sit here and talk about them so much, and then just to get their personalities, it makes it more fun when you watch them.
Well, we talked about Coach Wells. He's going to come here and talk to us here in just a few moments about spring practice, kind of what he saw from his guys as they wrapped up last weekend. A lot of fun there.
We
had the suits for seniors. And, that's a lot going on with
He's
EKU
taking a picture of that
well.
truck we just talked about.
He's going to send it to Jen, and Jen's going to get it for him.
Might be good for KJ. Maddie needs that truck.
All right,
She'll
folks.
climb up in it like I did.
Yeah, there you go. Don't go anywhere. We'll have EKU football coach Walt Wells on the show when we come back right here at Jack Burford Chevrolet on WBON TV. It's the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Are you looking for a brand new SUV that won't break the bank? Look no farther than Jack Burford Chevrolet, home of the newly redesigned 2024 Trax. Bigger, bolder, more refined, and starting under $25,000, the new Chevy Trax is really upped its game. Come see us at Jack Burford Chevrolet in Richmond or check us out at jackburford.com to see everything this new Trax has to offer.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Co-Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now still in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
At WBON TV 9, you can count on our weather team to keep you up to date with all the latest developments, watches, and warnings.
We're here for you night and day, 24/7, no matter what the weather brings.
WBON TV 9 and our media partner 100.7 The Coyote are dedicated to you. That's why we say when the weather turns extraordinary, so does our coverage.
Get your forecast each weekday during the Live at 5 newscast on WBON TV 9, where every local story starts here.
Welcome back into the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. Samantha Burford, Michael Watkins, Coach Walt Wells with us. And you said it was Jen's 30th birthday yesterday?
30th.
29, I thought.
Well, yeah.
Quit sucking up, Samantha. You're always trying to outdo
you may be
us.
right. I think it was 29.
Yeah. 29. Happy belated
Did you
birthday,
get her a present?
Jen. I gave her a card yesterday.
Okay, all right.
I saw her at a baby shower.
My
yesterday.
present is letting her have a little time off from Coach tonight. Because right now,
she probably will thank you.
That's what I'm
for that.
saying. Yeah, I had a listen. I introduced her to.
I'm taking daggers left and right already.
I introduced her to my girlfriend at Suits for Seniors, and I talked about her Facebook post. I said I'll have to show Alexis
Jen
some
has
of her
great
Facebook.
Facebook
She's
posts.
great. She's great.
It's funny.
She's the fun one in the relationship with her.
She's
and Coach,
definitely
right?
funny.
There's no question. She is the fun one.
So you've had a busy day. I know it's kind of. So have you been able to kind of step back now a little bit, look back at how spring practice went, and just kind of reevaluate things?
Yeah, we have, and we're in the process of doing that with our players right now. We have, after every spring or after every season, so to speak. So the fall and then this spring season, we sit down and do one-on-ones with them, and we have an evaluation process that the coaches have to go through, that the players have to go through. It's an evaluation process where they evaluate. The coaches evaluate the players, obviously, but the players evaluate each other in their room.
Okay.
So if, say, I'm a running back, I evaluate all the rest of the running backs on these certain questions we give them. And so they have a coach, a peer, and then they also do an evaluation of themselves. And so we show them the blind spots and the spots that aren't blind, obviously, that, maybe they need to look into and see a little more deeply of, that blind spot. Well, the coach and the player think this is the same, but I think it's maybe better. Or the coach and the player think this is good, but I think it's bad.
Okay.
And now maybe I can realize, maybe I'm not as bad as I thought I was.
Can convince you to come on their side of
way.
things.
So I think it's good feedback for the players. Obviously we talk about their GPS, where they're at on the GPS rankings, which monitors their, if their skill, miles per hour and mileage, if they're O-line, D-line, their explosive efforts. So we go through all that. We go through their gains in the weight room, which we switched up in spring practice this year. So instead of going 4 days a week in the spring, we went 3 days a week.
Okay.
And then every other day had a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we had a weight room day. So Billy Brown, our strength and conditioning coach, can really, maintain what he did all winter long. And so, so we've done that last week. And then I gave the coaches off every year. I give them off Thurby, Oaks, and Derby. You know,
that's a new title for him. He did not know.
I had never heard of the Thurby before.
You never heard of Thurby?
Mm-mm.
Oh, the Tuesday's the 502 day.
Yeah,
50 Tuesday.
Meaning all Louisville people there.
Right?
Well, that's what Oaks used to be, obviously.
Okay.
Then they changed it to Thurby, and then now, you know, they had to go to 502 to get all the.
There are just so many people that come into town.
Well, they treat it like Mardi Gras. They want it to be all week. And, you know, a bunch of guys I know have worked down in Louisiana during Mardi Gras time, and their coaches always give them off because it's such a big time. Great time to be with your family.
Yeah.
You know, if you're from the state of Kentucky, I'm not from the state of Kentucky, but everybody but my brother and my sister in my family, both sides, were from the state of Kentucky, the western part of the state. But so Derby's always been big in our house, and, you know, so I just give them that time off. Plus, we just come off everything, and we're going into recruiting, you know, for spring and everything. So it's like, here's 3 days and 2 days in a weekend. Here's 5 days you don't have to come into the office.
You talked about, like, you know, the GPS and things like that. What would Coach Kidd say about stuff like that? Because, you know, obviously this stuff was not around back in the day. So I can just picture him, you know, old school football coach and
we're using notebooks.
Coach was old school, but Coach was no nonsense. But he also was always up on what's going on latest in the in the world of football. I mean, he was a football coach, and he was a successful one for a reason. So you got to think he started in the '60s, ended in 2000s, had championships all the way throughout. So he obviously had to adapt in a lot of areas. And so I think he would have adapted to it. He may be kind of like me and not totally understand it. I've been fortunate. I've been around them since, I don't know, I guess probably the first place that had them was when I was at Tennessee.
Okay.
And we had like 3 guys that were in charge of them. We'd get a report every day and, you know, stuff like that. And sometimes you can take it too far.
Yeah.
You know, too much science and too much.
How much sweat does he have?
Trying to figure it out. I mean, it's like, golly, guys. I mean, sometimes we're training 18 to 22-year-olds on how to push themselves through uncomfortable things.
Yeah.
Right? Which 4th and 1 in the fourth quarter is uncomfortable, you know? So, you know, these guys won't even clean up their rooms. Their moms tell them to clean up their room, and they won't do it. So we got to, you know, we're trying to train them. So sometimes that science, I get it. But that science, you can throw it out the window because sometimes you just got to learn to grow and push through those things. And so, but it's a great gauge of guy coming back from a hamstring, guy coming back from a quad, guy coming back from an illness, and, you know, he lost. Other thing it does is it monitors everybody's that's got them on heart rate. And so, you know, if there's something cardiovascular going on.
Okay.
Potentially. Or
you can catch it ahead of time.
I don't want to say cardiovascular. That's probably not the right word, but, you know, their heart rate's getting too high and getting to, we can say, hey, we need to shut this guy down for a second and see what's going on
Especially in the heat.
And get a
when
trainer
you all are
over
training.
there. That's right. So those things are incredible. And we have, you know, we're blessed. I mean, we probably got a lot more than a lot of people. We got 60-some odd of them.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know.
That was my next question. How many do you have?
Most of our scholarship players had them on. Not that our walk-ons aren't important. They are. But, I mean, that's just how you kind of sort it out. And we try to give it to our first and second units, you know, on each side of the ball, and then whoever's left over. You know, like we don't need to know really what a kicker's heart rate is because they're not going that, you know, what his distance and explosive efforts are. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze.
No, you're good.
But
I know it's the weather.
But we got, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it's the weather.
You know, it just helps us in all the things that we do like that.
Well, you might need to know what the kicker. Can you imagine what a kicker's heart rate is?
Well, during a game,
win the game,
sure,
it's
yeah. I mean, I'm sure
to win the game
on a game-winning field goal.
I'd like to know what it is actually. You know,
the kicker cool. Now. I mean, Patrick Aces was so good for so long.
Yeah.
Who have we got
who's
kicker-wise?
in the?
Well, we actually, and I don't know if I can talk about it yet, but we just just signed a. Well, it's NCAA rule, I'd say it. We just signed a young man from out in Texas that's been a starter at a G5 program for 2 years. Had great success there. And, you know, I think one of the things that helped us with him was our criminal justice program.
Okay, yeah.
His grandfather was an FBI agent. His mother works for the FBI. And I think he wants to go into that type of work. Really great student, 4.0. And something we were looking for to replace Patrick, you know, and to come in and compete for that job. We've got a young man on campus that we're excited about, but he's he's finishing up his true freshman year in Devon Orr, and we're excited about him. But we're with the roster sizes now and everything, you're limited in how many extra kickers, punters, and long snappers you can bring in. I mean, we've slotted 6, so it's really 2 kickers, 2 punters, and 2 long snappers.
Yeah. You get, 65 scholarship athletes?
Well, yeah, we get 63, and that's the benchmark. Now we can break them up so we can have more, and we can actually have up to 105 now because of the new rule.
Yeah.
We won't go to 105.
You do like 50% to some guys and things like that.
You can do that. Yeah. It just depends on how it all works, and so there's formulas that I've been using, but.
And stuff like that is things that fans don't really think about. That you got to kind of be in charge of.
Well, you got to figure it out because, it is what it is. It's and now it's gone from scholarship equivalencies, or it's going from scholarship equivalencies to dollar amounts.
Yeah. NILs.
Yeah.
And I get the question all the time: Is Eastern ready for that? And I'm going to say yes because, we always want more. I mean, that's just who you are, who we are. I mean, if you're competitive, you want the most, you want to be at the top. But, we've gone back and forth and had some Dusty Ridner over at the university has done a phenomenal job of preparing the budgets, for scholarship budgets and budgets normally, but I'm talking about scholarship budgets right now. He sat down and he had a genuine interest and care in what we did. Dusty's from here, played baseball at EKU. And
just got married, too, like 2 weeks ago.
He just got married. And matter of fact, the night before, I guess it was Friday before his, whatever you do on Friday before
the rehearsal.
Married, the rehearsal dinner. He was in the office with me, because I've got the most, obviously. Yeah. So we're sitting there going back and forth trying to figure out how this all works and the things that he did to help us be able to maximize the opportunities that we have here at EKU. And, I can't say it enough. Dusty did a great job of getting that done and pushing that to Kyle and Kyle pushing it to the president and everybody being on the same board and doing that. And, is it the top of the line, this, that, and the other? I don't know about that, but I'm very pleased at where they are and where we came in, as long as it doesn't change. Yeah. and it's given our young men opportunities to want to stay and finish out their career at EKU, and I think it's important.
You got a question before we go break?
Well, we talked about, there's always that storyline of the friendship between the kicker and the long snapper. You needed a new kicker. We talked about that, but you're going to need a long snapper too. Right. It's a shame they're going out together, but that's the way the friendship is. They spend so much time together. Well, so you hope you find that again.
Well, I hope we do. I mean, I think, Quay Luganbill is coming out of spring, our guy right now.
That's Tom's son.
And Tom's son. But we also have a guy named Blake Howard who has snapped well. And, of course, punter. It's different in a long snap and a short snap. So if we have to use 2, we'll use 2. But they've got all summer to improve, and they've got all training camp to fight for the job. So they'll do it. But Quade had a good spring, and so did Blake. And so we're excited. We feel confident where we're at. Our holder's the same. Herget's back, so he'll hold. And then Jackson House holds some. Patrick did hold a little bit. So that'll be different, especially with a kicker not being here in the spring and then, potentially being the guy. So, it'll be interesting to see how it all falls out. But we've got a lot of that in a lot of positions. And that's what made spring, for me, might have been the most fun I had in spring.
Wow.
Oh, that's exciting.
We'll talk more about that. I'll take a commercial break. Yes. We'll keep Wells here with us. We'll talk more about spring practice and some of the position groups. There's some very deep position groups. We'll talk about those when we come back here on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Are you looking for a brand new SUV that won't break the bank? Look no farther than Jack Burford Chevrolet, home of the newly redesigned 2024 Trax. Bigger, bolder, more refined, and starting under $25,000, the new Chevy Trax is really upped its game. Come see us at Jack Burford Chevrolet in Richmond or check us out at jackburford.com to see everything this new Trax has to offer.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best fajitas in town. Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
We would like to invite you to join our family at Bishop's Small Engine Repair.
Outdoor Power has become a family tradition, with 3 generations here bringing you years of experience.
We will help you find the best selection of outdoor power equipment from Code Cadet, Grasshopper, DeWalt, Makita, Echo, Shindawa, and now Steel in our Georgetown store.
Or bring your equipment into our service department. We will keep it running for years to come.
And as with all families, we have to keep Mama happy. So come on in and see us at Bishop's Small Engine Repair in Richmond and in Georgetown.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
At WBON TV 9, you can count on our weather team to keep you up to date with all the latest developments, watches, and warnings.
We're here for you night and day, 24/7, no matter what the weather brings.
WBON TV 9 and our media partner 100.7 The Coyote are dedicated to you. That's why we say when the weather turns extraordinary, so does our coverage.
Get your forecast each weekday during the Live at 5 newscast on WBON TV 9, where every local story starts here.
We're back on the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show. You were giving Coach a hard time. Now we're giving it back to you.
No, you're giving it to me.
I said
telling everybody I'm in a bad mood.
If you're acting in a bad mood, you're going to be called out for it. Me and Coach were over having a good time and
positive
enjoying ourselves.
vibes only.
Yeah. Jeff went at the Oaks though. Y'all have a good time.
We did. We had a great time.
Do we need money on the horses?
You know, here's the thing that we can get into this in just one
quick snippet.
All
right.
They don't want you using the betting windows anymore. It's like a $50 minimum. You got 30 people standing there working, and nobody's at the window. So you got to learn to get on Twin Spires, the app. And so I learned how to do that.
Who taught you how to do that?
Put $100 in. I think I ended up with 86.
Okay, that's not bad. So you lost $14. That's not bad.
I think that's a very great day that I only lost.
Hey, who taught you how to get on Twin Spires?
Jake.
Oh, Jake
from
did.
State Farm?
Jake.
Oh.
No. Jake.
We won't say last names here. We'll keep last names
there you go.
concealed.
All right. Jake. Well, Coach, we talked about spring practice, and one of they've been doing like the stories on EKUsports.com, and one of the deepest rooms, I mean, as far as I can tell, is your running back room. You've got a lot of talent coming back, and I feel like that's been a staple of your program since you've been here. You look at all the guys that have kind of circulated through at that running back position. And Joshua Carter, I think, ended up with the Bills, getting his little
there
love
right
from
now
them.
in a mini camp. That's right.
In a mini camp. Wait, hold on. For me, explain, so now he's got to prove himself again.
Yeah, it's basically a 3 to 4 day tryout. And you go up there with the draft picks and the undrafted free agents that have signed contracts, and you're trying to become one of those undrafted free agents. So
I didn't know how many days, or if it's a
three.
month
It's usually anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Most people go.
So
3
he
or
goes
4.
there, and then he can come home, and then
honestly,
they'll call. Hopefully, get the call.
Well, they'll probably tell him right afterwards what's going on, and if usually 1 or 2 guys in those mini camps get picked up. But they've got to have enough to practice with the guys that they drafted. You only got 7 rounds, so you probably only got 7 people.
Yeah.
And then you got however many undrafted free agents, which goes up to 90. So you're probably talking another of new ones, probably another 10 or 12. So now you're looking for guys to fill in the positions. that you need.
Yeah. Well, you looked at like Mike Smith Jr. obviously signed with the Cowboys. You had Peyton
Mike got a great
Collins.
contract with the Cowboys too. So that was a good deal for him.
Is that like is it a guaranteed thing?
There's some guaranteed money there.
Okay,
which
good deal.
obviously tells you they were interested in him. They wanted him. They didn't draft a safety, so it went that way. They brought in a couple guys, but he got from everything he's told me, and I've talked to some coaches in the league about the contract situations and how they work. They've told me it was a really good, they feel like he, if
got a chance.
Yeah, he got a good contract.
It was that vertical jump he did when the scouts were here that day.
Hey, he's just a dog, though. I mean,
he's built. You can tell he can run. What he really does well is tackle in space, and so he can tackle in space, but he can run well enough at the size he is. He can play that nickel a little bit and cover the slot guys. And in a short area of space and do a good job.
And we're going to miss him.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
This team's going to miss him.
No, there's no doubt.
You had two guys in the Canadian Football League, right, with Peyton Collins and Vincent Mullen Jr.
Had
both signed last week.
How do you say it?
The Saskatchewan Roughriders is where Peyton went. And
Alouettes.
Benny went to the Montreal Alouettes. And Peyton could have went to the UFL. So Memphis Showboats called him.
I love the names, by the way, for some of these.
He wanted him to. They wanted him to come down, be there this week, and not play, and then play in the next 3 games. And although that might be the quicker path to the NFL because your season's over, you can go. I think Peyton felt like the CFL's more of a. I hate to say it like this, it's an established league,
stabilized.
So he can go there and have a career if he wants. As long as he makes it and does well. See, the NFL can still come get him.
Yeah.
And, he hadn't played since November, so it's hard to, turn it on in 3 games and put your whole career on the line for 3 games. And so I think he chose wisely and chose to go to Saskatchewan. They earmarked him early. They'd been calling him, in the second day of the draft and hey, man, if things don't work out, we can't believe it won't. But if it doesn't work out with the NFL, we'd love to have you. And I think they did a smart job in doing that because, Peyton's a loyal type guy, being here as long as he was here. And they got him. And Vinny did a great job and went to the Bengals to a local day tryout, which is different than the mini camp and different than the so it's just kids from the Cincinnati area got to go try out one day with the Bengals. And so I'm sure he got some things seen there by the other scouts or somebody called somebody. You know how that goes. And Montreal picked him up and signed him to a deal. They start training camp, I think, next week or week after, towards the end of this month. Yeah, because their season obviously starts, I think, a couple of months before the training camp starts for the NFL. So those 2 guys did that. Mike did what he did, and Josh is where he's at. So, that's 4 people off his team. They got a chance to keep playing football and get paid for it. And I think that speaks volumes for the kind of year we had and the kind of people we're bringing into the program.
Well, back to your running back room again. You looked at Latham and McCluster, and it's just the guys that you got, that you got in, and then Brady Hensley, and then you've got some freshmen that are coming in that can make an impact for you as well.
We've got, you've got with the loss of Josh, you bring in Braden Latham has had a good spring, and he'll be our starter. I really consider it 2 backups, because they're totally 2 different running backs. You got Jalen Montgomery, who was our kick returner last year, punt returner, and does
explosive,
things like that. Explosive player, and out of the backfield type threat when it comes to the passing game. Then you got Brady, who I think is really very similar to Braden Latham in the fact that he's a bigger back, that contact, it's hard to tackle. Our team hates tackling him, and he runs hard. He's learning how to pass protect. And he's gotten better at that, and he'll get better at it, as more reps come. And then you got everybody else that's coming in behind them, and so you got Peyton Smith coming in.
Douglas, right? That's the Douglas kid.
That's the Douglas kid. And so, those are the guys that we all have, and we'll have some other guys in the fray. But that room is really solid. That's credit to Andy Richmond, our offensive coordinator, who, and we've had great continuity there because Andy's been the running back coach ever since I've been the head coach, and he's been the offensive coordinator. And so, he's done a great job of ID and talent and getting them in here. And that's what it's all about. Recruiting has got to be the lifeblood of your program.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. And you've got to be able to evaluate. and he's done a good job of that.
We got 5 minutes, Samantha. Can you believe that?
God, it goes by fast.
I know you want to ask about the quarterback, so I'll let you do it.
I do. I always do. You know, we talked about it a little bit about like the last time you were here, but tell us about how the spring game went with them.
Well, you know, the spring game went well, but we didn't really let them do a whole lot because we were concerned about what eyes would be in the stadium. So, you know, the spring went well. Both of them developed at different paces, but both of them developed, and that's what we wanted to see. And I'm talking about Miles Burkett and Colby Lambert.
Yeah.
We're not ready yet to name a starter. You know, there's days that or consistent days that one did better than the other, and there's days that the other one rallied and did good. You know, we've got to do what's best for the football team, and you know, I've always thought it's the guy that can win the football team. How do you win the football team? It means they rally behind you, whether you're with the ones or the twos. You know, if you can take the twos and score, and you can take the ones and score, then you're probably going to be able to get some things done for us.
Do you ever have players that are like, Coach, we feel confident with this guy?
Yeah, but they're so immature, most of them, and I don't mean that in like acting.
You got to go with your
in decision making. That a lot of times they go with the guys they like.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
they've created bonds with. And
there's
things.
A lot of guys that I don't let that we don't pick who starts because
Well, the smart
we think
ones,
it's because of what's proven.
What's proven, right?
It's not who we like. If I had a team of a bunch of guys I like, we wouldn't be very good. You know what I mean? And everybody's like,
I could see John at quarterback, or maybe put it in safety.
I mean, we'd have John and Chuck and Rodney and all these guys.
We'd be a losing team.
It wouldn't be very good, would it? And so it's not whether or not I want to hang out with them or anything. It's who can come in and represent our team the way it's supposed to be represented, but also play football and win football games for us. And it's going to be a competitor. And it probably competitiveness is the first thing we look at. Brains and how they operate are the second thing. And really physical talent is the third. And we roll them all together, and it's really 1A, 1B, 1C when you're evaluating not just quarterback, any position. Experience speaks, because if you've done it, when bad things happen, that we try to coach everything, but sometimes things come up, and you've got to be able to react. And, if you've seen it before, then that helps. And so at all positions, that's what we're looking for. And we're still recruiting and got probably 5 guys still to sign, or 4 guys now, and we'll continue to do it until we get the team the way we feel like it needs to be, so we can play. When we're making decisions on who started, it's a collective effort of our staff. It's like I tell them and everything, and this is not to be like beating our chest. It's y'all got one vote, I got one more, and because in the end I have to make the decisions. Hired and fired, it starts right here, and so we're going to make sure that we all have a voice and can speak our voice, and then somebody has to make a decision.
It's kind of when we talked to him today. I mean, we kind of just threw this together. We reached out to him about coming on with us.
Yeah, because we were supposed to have a baseball game.
And before we go off the air here, I mean, we always appreciate you coming over.
Yes.
And
It's my pleasure.
To me, it's crazy because literally fan day will be here before we know it.
Yes,
I mean,
it
we'll
will be
getting together, you guys getting ready for Louisville, and we'll be hitting the field
August
before
30th.
we know it. I mean, it's literally right around the corner.
8-5 season last year, right, Coach?
Right, 8-5.
So
undefeated at
6 home games
Six
this
home
season.
games.
Tickets are on sale.
That's what I was getting
right
ready to get
now.
to. Yeah.
$50 a seat.
No, we need people to get out and support our football team. We haven't had a lot of losses in that stadium in the last 5 years, and last year was a special year, be undefeated. Next year, hopefully it's the same goal. We want to win the conference. We want to go to the playoffs. We want to win a playoff game. We want to do everything to represent Richmond, Kentucky the right way.
There you go. Well, folks, get your tickets now, EKUsports.com. And
I feel it.
Let's have a good football season.
I think
what
it's
a quick
happening.
show. We appreciate you all hanging out with us tonight. We'll hopefully get some games in this week. We'll let you know when we're going to be at. Thanks for watching another special episode of the Jack Burford Chevrolet Sports Show.
Bye, everybody.